I mean, the business world is where I come from, which is why we are here. I mean, this is all I've known. I grew up here, you know, straight after university, so I don't know any other world other than business. And for me, the book is written for that audience, because it's very much about creating consciousness and awakening from an energy heart level, as I was saying, to bypass the ego in order that they can then lead from their hearts, because it does require a certain practice. It's not something that you just happen to grapple with and suddenly overnight you think, you know what, I'm going to switch from profits to having a higher purpose, so simply that my staff can be motivated and then my shareholders will be pleased and I'm going to have a higher return on value and then I can get my big bonus. It doesn't happen like that. And we have to remember that London, probably like no other capital in the world, it's very multicultural, and I love it. But at the same time, there is this air of indifference here. We have a tremendous history, and you know that there's a huge pride factor in us. You know, where we're sort of Victorian, that Victorian era is still very, very, very present, and it's beautiful. However, from the heart perspective of leadership, there is a lot to dismantle and unravel, and the openness has to be there, you know, and the old boys networks and all of these have to be closely examined in view of this, so we don't have these cliques, and fear culture has to be, you know, reduced somewhat in order for us to create a secure and safe environment to have these sorts of conversations, as well as to implement policy and cultural change in businesses so that they can shift from survival to thriving. You have to have an internal practice that allows you to elevate. In my book, I call it the 6 levels of leadership. The energy resonance, and each leader evolves and this is what's happened with these 81 billionaires, you know. They fell over, they learned, they grew to the next level of leadership, you know, so it's from survival to thriving, or to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, it's like you go up that ladder. What I'm saying is that that's possible. You don't have to necessarily fall over in your life, take a lot of knocks, and you can develop this. There's a lot of noise around this, but like with all things, it's about getting these things into practice. People don't know how to do this. They recognize there is something that needs to happen. However, very few people have the courage or the compassion to combine and to create this sort of change that doesn't simply think about me, and that allows for the higher purpose to be ingrained into the business model directly, not as simply, let's write this check out for charity. That requires a completely how-thinking approach, which is where the energy to business model actually allows us to manifest itself. And the reason I say that is because in writing the book, we came across a lot of egos, and you know, and it's going to be there all the time. You know, let's not pretend about this, you know. There is a big elephant in the room. We have egos and we have very selfish attitude. And this is partly the creation of capitalism. And now we're in this new world of conscious business and conscious capitalism. And this does require a complete revisit into how leaderships are molded